everyone. Welcome to Pleasure Prince. We dive deep into the art of living, healing, and thriving while keeping it fun, real, and unapologetically cool. I'm your host, Avik, and today we are taking a soulful journey into filling your cup, the transformative power of self love and the inner healing. So, joining us is the incredible Birgitta Vesha. So, welcome to the show, Birgitta.
Hi, Abe. Thank you so much for having me once again.
Lovely, lovely. Welcome to the show, Birjita. And so, before we start, I'll quickly love to introduce to all of our listeners. So, dear listeners, Birjita is a soul empowerment coach, divine channel, and light language healer who has been through the fire and emerged with a radiant light to share with the world. So, from the runaways of the modeling industry to the depths of her own soul, she has unlocked the secrets of healing, resilience, and living authentically. So, together, we will explore what it really means to cultivate the self love, heal the inner wounds, and transform the struggles into stepping stones for a thriving life. So, grab a cup of your favorite drink, tea, coffee, or whatever you like, and this conversation will inspire you to shine your brightest light. So, welcome to the show, Bajita, again.
Thanks.
Great, great. So, Bajita, like this words, three words, filling your cup. I mean, what does it mean to you? I mean, how do we recognize when it's empty?
Well, to fill our cups with self love is a necessity, isn't it? If we have nothing to give, if the cup is empty, how can we love others? And so it's really important that we nourish our own soul. And so people will talk about the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And it's really all about balance, balance in life. So the feminine is all about the divine and nourishing our soul. And it's so important to nourish our soul. It's not only to give it to other people because we're afraid of getting hurt. No, it's taking care of ourselves first. It's really, really important. Because if we don't feel comfy within our own skin,
Mm.
how can we be comfortable giving to others? But then again, in Avik, I always say we meet people that are triggers to us so that we can peel back the layers to eventually learn about self love and filling our own cup first.
Exactly, understood. Yeah. So, like self love sounds really, very simple. Like we often say self love and all, but why do so many of us struggle with it? If it's so,
Oh, yeah. I mean, gosh, Avik, I mean, I used to hate myself. And my dad always said, when my sister and I were kids, just in front of the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself.
yeah.
Yeah. What? But self love is so hard in this society because we've been, taught to live a certain way, act a certain way, that we've become lost and it's like a deviation. And so we are in this, competitive arena and our egos are clashing with one another because that is our perceived identity. That has nothing to do with self love. And yet, through the art of duality, you know, is how we understand opposites and how we go through our experiences. I mean, many of us go through, traumatic experience or painful experiences, and we land in this discomfort zone in the land of confusion, as I call it, which is beautiful because rather than pointing fingers at other people, it's like, for instance, me holding up a mirror to you and you keep pointing, but they did that to me and they did that to me. And, you're pointing at yourself because it's all about taking that responsibility and just accepting where we are, at that point in time and
Yeah.
just embracing that suffering, for instance, and understanding that and analyzing that and understanding what it is teaching you rather than remaining in that victimhood. And the journey of life is that return to a love for ourselves. And once we have that love for ourselves, that unconditional love, no judgments, no judgments, just understanding and compassion for one another. It's like we can also give that love to others.
Correct. I understand. Yeah. Yeah. And um, like was discussing about the self love. So, how did your personal hardships shape the way that you approach self healing?
Wow. I mean, it took many years.
Uh-huh.
It took many years, Avik, and I suffered from something called donkey syndrome, which means I just got the same experiences repackaged time and again in different people. Um, so I mean, I'm still learning about life. But because of all the trauma that I went through as a kid and in my my adult life, um, it's forced me to look deep within. And I mean, I'm learning to love myself. I'm not perfect, I'm human. I'm still, like everyone else, a spirit having a human experience. And we're all zipped up. Our light is zipped up in this meat suit. But yeah, self-love is has been a journey, but through healing, through many healing sessions and learning many healing modalities, I've learned so much about myself. And I think even recently when I did psilocybin and San Pedro cactus, which is mushrooms and San Pedro cactus. And after that I did ayahuasca. Um, I mean, with ayahuasca, I was puking my guts out. But they did it because I went through something traumatic in the middle of this year, a narcissistic relationship. And actually, our experiences are beautiful triggers. And when we see it that way, when we shift our mindset and we view it from a different perspective, life becomes different. Because when we work on ourselves, it's just really powerful. Um, because if we remain as we are and we keep moaning like a big bad wolf, um, nothing is going to change. So I've peeled back even more layers. And like I said, it's a continuous journey, but I'm far more resilient and I'm far more understanding of experiences that come my way. It's like my guides always say, just sit, silence, breathe, you know, be objective rather than being reactive. And I think that's really important is becoming aware of your thoughts, becoming aware of your actions. Yeah. And that is also self-love. I mean, I pretty much abused myself, because I was always a people pleaser. Yeah. And I was like I suffered from the welcome doormat syndrome. And I was a continuous punching bag to myself because all I wanted to do was please others because I didn't think I was good enough. And so, now I look at it differently. But honestly, self love really starts with being honest with yourself and just taking accountability for your life and knowing that regardless of what you're going through, you are worthy of a better life.
Mm.
Okay, you are deserving of a better life.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's great. And also, like when we're talking about this, how can someone start building self love when they have spent years putting others first?
Yeah, it's tough. That it's tough. I mean, I had to hit rock bottom. Well, several times, and it's really it's really looking in our lives, and regardless if one of your listeners is stuck in something and they can't see a way out, there is. Well, my dad always used to say, "Birgitta, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how long that tunnel may be." Well, again, reach out to somebody if you know that you do not want to continue as you are. Yeah. Then reach out to someone, find a healer, find whatever aligns with your spirit. Yeah, it doesn't matter how you heal as long as it aligns with your spirit. But again, as I said earlier, you are worthy and deserving of a better life. And
Yeah.
that's why it's when we shift our mindset, we shift that energy, yeah, rather than remaining in that energy where we are so with a dis-ease with it within ourselves that it bleeds into our physical, our mental, and into our environment. Yeah, because we're energy. So what we vibe out is exactly what we, reel back in. So just, yeah, on the journey of self-love, it's all about evaluating or, analyzing our experiences and asking ourselves, why is this happening to me? It's not why is it, not sorry, why is this happening for me? Not why is this happening to me? Because that's the victim mentality. When you're asking yourself, hey, what is this teaching me? What can I learn from this? That's shifting that mindset. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yes. And so, like, what's the common myth that you have found about inner healing that um, you'd like to bust?
Inner healing. Well, everything comes from within. Now we try and look for that peace and that like happiness outside of us, but everything resides within ourselves. And I've had to also learn that all our pain, all our experiences, all our unhealed experiences are kept within our mind. And our mind is actually the most powerful tool that we have because everything that we think or that we constantly think, we create. And it's all about becoming conscious of everything that you go through, conscious of who you interact with, and being conscious with the world around you. And we don't because what we do, and that's why it's our inner world. Um, we are constantly bombarded with things in our outer world that we deviate away from our own love and from our own self awareness. And so sometimes I say to people, what happens if you switch off your phone or your electronics and you just sit with yourself or you do something that's for you, solely for you, that nourishes your spirit?
Hmm. Wow. And also, like, is it possible to fully heal from trauma, or is it more about learning to coexist with it?
You can heal from trauma. There's a great example with the emotional freedom technique where, people tap the trauma or the emotional triggers out of the memory. And, there is a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, and then it goes to 1 and 0. And I've seen people overcome their trauma this way. And it's all about forgiveness as well. Um, and it's incredible, like look how with EFT, how people's life change. So, but yes, you can overcome trauma. Absolutely. I mean, I can talk about my trauma now because I understand the experiences, and it was all about, the progression of my soul. It's all about development, really. It's all about awareness. And I will always say life's like a little bit like the game of snakes and ladders. We climb and then we fall, and that's okay. But then we get back up and we continue because life is like the cosmic game of evolution. That's how I see it. It's all about we continuously evolve. And the more we evolve, the more we understand life.
Understood. And so, what advice would you give to someone who feels stuck in their healing journey and can't see the light?
Yes, always tough. Always tough. And mind you, Avik, I've also been borderline depressed and it's so tough. I know that when people really suffer, it takes immense strength and courage to pull yourself up, and get out of that dark hole. But like I said before to you, it's like reach out to someone. Reach out to someone. Um, I think that's the main thing. And again, take that responsibility for your life and know that you are worthy and again deserving of a better life. And it's hard when you're right in the middle of it. But 6 months down the line, you could look back and say, hey, you know what? I went through this, but I understand the lesson in it. And I'm glad I went through it because I will not be making the same mistake. It's not really a mistake because I always say experiences are neither good or bad. They're just experiences to help elevate your soul. Um, and so stop putting yourself in the boxing ring like I did. Um, and yeah, reach out for help. Really reach out for help. And do you know what, Avi? Again, even reaching out for help, that is sometimes really hard for people to do. Um, but that is the only thing that I can say. And if you think you're not loved, um, then at least, know that I love you.
Yeah, lovely. Great. So, wow, what an incredible conversation with the luminous Birgitta Visser. So, from her wisdom, dear listeners, on self love to her candid insights about life's struggles, there's so much to take away and apply in our own journeys. And remember that your light shines brightest when you prioritize your well being. So, if you enjoyed today's episode, do not forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. And follow us on social media for more inspiration. And be sure to connect with Bojita for even more guidance on living authentically. And Bojita, like if someone wants to connect with you and about your book, so how they can connect?
Yeah, they can find me via my website on powersoulhealing.com. I'm on YouTube under Power Soul Healing. And then I'm on Instagram via Universal Light Warriors. There's just one other thing that I like to add to that. So, what works for me is meditation and breath work. I think that's been my saving grace. Because breath work is so important because we breathe so shallow, we've forgotten the art of breath. And when we live very, very shallow, it's like we live on the surface of ourselves. And for me, when I meditate in the morning, like 20 minutes, and then in the evening again, um, it gets me a good night's sleep. And in the morning, it starts my day just right.
Exactly. Perfect. Lovely. Great. That's really, really great. And so, this is your host, Avik, signing off from Pleasure Principles. Stay healthy, stay happy. Thank you so much.